I would like to welcome the Mayor and Council and staff members of the Village of Valemount, directors and staff of the VCF, and members of the public to the VCF and VCFLP Shareholders Information Meeting. I'm Gordon Carson. I'm the Vice President of the Belmont Community Forest. And I'd like to ask each of the attendees to go around and introduce themselves. Can we start with the council? Owen?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Gordon. It's Owen Torgerson here, Mayor, and off to my left is
Councillor McLean.
And further down her left is
Councillor Pete Pearson.
and off to my right.
Councillor Blanchette.
And unfortunately, Councillor G couldn't join us tonight, but staff members with us this evening are Wayne Robinson, CAO, Carlina Shepard, Deputy Corporate Officer, and Laurie McNee, our Director of Finance. And our brains behind the scenes with our IT and our economic development is Silvio Gislimberti.
Okay, and directors of the Belmont Community Forest. We have Vern Mickelson.
Vern Mickelson, Director of VCF.
And Ray, are you on?
Yeah, just trying to figure out how to unmute my mute button. Anyway, Ray, Director.
Okay, thanks, Ray. And do we have any members of the public online tonight?
Not that I'm aware of, Gordon.
Okay. Okay, I'd like to start by asking for a motion to accept the agenda, which I think everyone has. Are there any additions to the agenda as brought forward?
Hey, Gordon, are you starting with the Belmont Community Forest?
Yes, this is the Valemount Community Forest meeting. There will be two meetings tonight, the Valemount Community Forest and the Valemount Industrial Park. So could I have a motion to accept the agenda?
Ray's waving his hand.
Okay, I don't have a picture of Ray on mine. Okay.
I think Vern was waving his hand too.
Yeah, second, Vern Mickelson. All in favor? Okay, I think it's accepted as moved. And the next item is adoption of minutes, but since this is the first information meeting, there are no minutes from previous meetings. And I presume everyone has seen or has a copy of the financial reports for 2020. Are there any questions about the financials?
Yeah, Gordon, it's Owen here if I can. So the four sets of financials, one for the VIP, one for the VCF, and then the two limited partnerships, was that just because there was a bit of a delay between sort of July, February of having the two companies and then the limited liability signed?
It's because that there are four companies and they have to have independent financials done.
Thank you.
I guess Owen, it's Craig here. Hey, the goal was to start running just the LP companies for operations, but there was a lag there. There's a lot of the bigger companies had a hard time figuring out that we were actually changing our name, and also some legal issues, like from Trans Mountain, for example, because the Belmont Community Forest Company Limited still owns the VIP, so they keep sending checks to the old company, the Company Limited. So there's some of that going through. I think we have it pretty much all figured out now, though. So hopefully, going forward, the financials for the BCF Company Limited will look like the VIP Company Limited, which doesn't show a whole lot. It's very, very basic because there's really nothing happening in those companies. So that's the goal. It just took a little bit to get there.
Great, thank you. Any questions on the financial from council? Thanks, Gordon.
Okay, do you have any other comments or questions?
None from us, no.
Okay. Craig, could we get a brief overview from you from what's been going on with the Belmont Community Forest?
Yes, you betcha. Do we have to get a motion to approve the financials from the village council, or how does that work? Or we just do it as a board?
No, we approve those.
Yeah.
This is an information meeting.
Yeah, makes sense. Okay, sure. So here's a brief overview of the Belmont Community Forest for 2020. So as of January 1st, 2019, we divided into two operating companies. I'm just going to go through some basics just to make sure everybody's on the same page. Both companies are limited partnerships. The new companies separate the forest activities and the industrial land. So all the work's not quite complete, but we're inching closer to completion, and we're hoping the working group can figure out the remaining very few issues. So the 2020 financials, we had a total revenue of 10.2 million, total expense of 9.1, and a total net earnings of 1.99 million, which is pretty good. We had a good year. So in comparison, the net earnings for 2019 was 129,940. So a real big difference. Falling markets, poor weather conditions, the loss of Canfor Bavenby and Interfor Adams Lake as wood purchasers had very negatively affected our business in 2019, and the market was poor, and it led to not a great year. In 2020, increasing markets, we logged more, and less expenditures led to an increased year end. So we had a real good year of 1.9 million. 1.9, no, that's wrong, 1.19 million, I'm sorry. Really good year. Typo, sorry about that, everybody. So 2020 highlights. So the VCF has 2 community forests, a wood lot, and a small forest license. The original K2T has a cut of 48,000. K5Q has a cut of 47,000 meters a year. Our forest license has a cut of 2,300 meters a year. Operated in mainly in carrier lumber's operating areas. And our woodlot has a cut of 2,200 meters a year. So total cut of roughly 100,000 meters. So BCF harvested a total of roughly 100,000. We're pretty close during 2020 from both community forests and the forest license. We used generally we used 3 logging contractors, and they're all local. The BCF harvested just under 20,000 meters from its forest license. Most of this harvesting was directed at fire smarting the Belmont to Tijon kind of corridor. So in the very recent past, we completed forest inventories and LiDAR for all the BCF areas. as well as the woodlot. And the new information gives us modern and up-to-date information that allows us to make informed, responsible decisions. So now new investment will be directed towards our older plantations to ensure that they're growing at a rapid pace. We have to, the whole thing is basically like a farm. You have to keep everything growing properly or else it all stops. So brushing and spacing will help maximize growth. This work will increase local employment and allow us to offer work at the times of the year that are generally quiet for those type people. The silviculture bunch, and they're really busy in the spring, summer, and then it kind of tails off in the fall. So we can try to keep them busier and keep them a longer working window. We purchased woodlot 277 in 2018, and we submitted a forest inventory management plan and a cutting permit. And we're hoping to have all the approvals this fall and harvest our first block in 2021. We're working towards that. We planted roughly 330,000 trees in 2020. In contrast, in 2021, we're planting right around the 500,000 mark. Just we logged more, so we're planting more generally. So in the past couple of years, we've invested a bunch of money into the Dave Henry operating area. It was an old area that hadn't been touched in 20 some years, and the main access roads and all the infrastructure were falling apart, and not up to you couldn't drive a pickup there, no less drive a logging truck. So we installed a bridge at 9.2. We blasted rock. We just reestablished road back and completed surveys on 2 future bridges. Total cost of over $350,000. So we're going to build some more road this year and put another bridge in hopefully this year. So it all takes time. We're starting the same road reestablishment of the yellow jacket drainage in 2021. The spruce beetle that has damaged the Hugh Allen and ptarmigan may be headed towards the yellow jacket, kind of towards the Belmont area. So we need road access to be able to respond to that threat. We need to act quickly. So we need to get the roads up and ready to go. The Dave Henry's ready, and we need to get the yellow jacket ready. And it's probably going to be about a 1.5 year project, maybe 2 years when it's all said and done. So we're hoping the bugs hold off a little bit. We harvested 5 blocks identified as forest fire preparedness threats to the community in 2020, and these blocks were planted about a month ago. Successfully, I hope. So local contractors completed the vast majority of this work, including loggers, truck drivers, road builders, maintenance contractors, scalers, surveyors, tree planters, slashers, brushers, road block development contractors. We figured roughly 35 to 40 local contractors, so quite a few. This past winter, we harvested up the West Canoe, Westridge, Pack Saddle, Swift Creek, and currently we're harvesting up the West Canoe and should be into the Pack Saddle again within a week. So we're starting. Recreation. So generally, we're finding greater use of our operating areas just due to increased road quality. Our road systems are getting better and better, and we're seeing more use. We're extremely happy to see the 5 mile recreation area doing so well. It's a great success story, and well done to BARDA. all the people associated. The bike runs are drawing people from all over and are having a big impact on the tourism economy. We're happy to support them. The 5-mile road fix, we had a slump this year, is underway and expected to be completed, I'm guessing within a week's time. We'll see exactly what happens, but that's the hope. This project is funded by a grant from NDIT with 30% of the cost covered by the VCTV. So total project roughly is $70,000, and 21 of that will come directly from the VCF. And also Yora, we're working with Yora constantly and definitely support them as well. For staff, the VCF LP has a total of 4 full-time staff members. Betty Hardy has been with the VCF for the past 8 years at least, and controls the finances for the company. So she's done all the financials since I've been here. And with the increased activity industrial park and of our increased harvest operations within the past few years, we just needed more feet on the ground. And we have right now we have a very nice crew, loaded with experience, local knowledge, local commitment, and lots of energy. So we're happy with that. So that's all I got, Gordon.
Okay, thanks, Craig.
Is there any questions for the council or staff?
Council?
I'd like to know how the new mill's coming along.
We'll cover that under the VIP. That's actually a VIP mill, not a VCF
Okay,
mill.
all right.
Yeah, there are 2 meetings tonight.
Okay, sorry about that. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, for sure.
A good point there about all that road construction and reclamation work that we've done on the local roads and the increased tourist or increased use on traffic is actually making Belmont more attractive destination, is it not?
Definitely is.
Yes, I think it is.
Yeah. It's kind of hard to say with this COVID world. Everybody's kind of staying local, but it sure seems like the local recreation, just the numbers seem to be going up and up.
Oh, you'll see.
I don't know, just for me, what I'm seeing.
You'll see an influx come July 1st. We saw it at May 25th when Step 2 came into being. I jokingly emailed Mayor Christian out of Kamloops and Mayor Schultz out of Revelstoke, and I asked if they had anybody left in their town between the ages of 24 and 36, and I thought, no, because they're all here. So, yeah, definitely a backcountry mecca here.
Nice. Yeah.
A couple of questions,
busy.
Craig, if I can. Gordon, can I ask a couple questions?
Yes, go ahead.
So without Canfor and Vavenby, where's the appraisal out of now for stumpage?
You mean like the nearest mill appraisal?
Yeah.
Yeah, so Vavenby's still considered an appraisal point.
Okay.
So right now, everything from the Holmes River north goes to Prince George, and from the Holmes south or southeast, whatever you want to call it, goes to Vavenby. From what I understand, they're disassembling the Vavenby mill, so that line will change and it'll go. I believe it'll go to Kamloops then. I don't think the barrier mill is big enough. Either of them. So I'm sure it'll go to Kamloops. That's my guess anyway.
And then for your, following your fire smarting activities, what did you replant with?
All the blocks basically on the sandy flats. Really, the only thing you can plant is pine. That's pretty much all will grow there. We had a couple or one. We had one block a little bit above on some different soils, but some little bit better soils. So we planted a mixed bag in there for pine spruce, maybe some cedar too. And one block we didn't plant at all because we're trying to get it. There was a ton of aspen in the block. It was right along Blackman Road and bordering the railroad tracks. So we kind of figured that was a real high fire potential area. So we're working at getting on being able to just leave it alone, and then some pine will naturally come in, and then the aspen will sprout up, and that'll be a much better future barrier to fire. So that's kind of how we proceeded.
That's all from me, thank you.
Okay, thanks, Owen. So from the board of directors, over the last few months, we've been reviewing and updating our policies to improve our governance and our communication with the public and our partner and shareholder, the Village of Valemount. So that leads us to the working group, and we would like to get it established and get started on basically increasing our cooperation and communication with the village in how the board is made up and the future opportunities for helping each other out. So if we could get your working group members established, then we'd appreciate being able to get started on that process.
Yeah, Gordon, we won't be able to establish that tonight. It'll have to come to council at a
Yes.
future meeting, but certainly we can get a staff report coming to us.
Yes, okay. So, Owen, could we have a few words from you in regard to this meeting?
Yeah. It's just been a real treat to see what a decrease from 300,000 cubic meters in an annual cut in the late 90s and early 2000s down to 33 and a half and back up to 95 can really do for a local economy. The fact that you're putting 35 to 40 local high-paying employment back into the bush through silviculture and harvesting and transportation, it's just outstanding. And the vision for keeping it at a sustainable cut is to be commended, and that's my words or the message from the shareholder this evening.
Okay, thank you, Owen. Is there any other questions about any of our subjects tonight?
Council? Nothing further from our end, Gordon.
Okay, then I would like a motion to adjourn this meeting.
Ray's waving his hand.
Okay, and we only need one to adjourn. So we'll carry on to the Belmont Industrial Park information meeting. So since we've already done our welcome and introduction, we'll go to the adoption of agenda. Did you all receive the industrial park agenda?
Yes, we have, yeah.
Okay, I'd like a motion to adopt the agenda as presented, unless there's any amendments. Okay, Vern? And
Ray.
Ray, okay. So there's just some information on the agenda about the shareholders agreement and limited partnership agreement referring to this meeting and the frequency of meetings. That's mostly for information. So this is in the same category. There is no previous meeting, so there's no previous minutes. And there's financial reports for the Belmont Industrial Park. Is there any questions about the financial reports for the industrial park?
Any questions? Industrial Park? None from our end, Gordon.
Okay. Okay, then Craig, could we have your update on the industrial park?
Okay. Okay, so the financials are looking pretty good. We had a total revenue of 558,000, total expense of 252,000, and a total net earning of 395,000. So it's done okay. It's a little biased because of Trans Mountains there, and there's been a bunch of investment in different things. But it's doing okay and holding its own. So the industrial park is an old site, and when we got it, pretty much every bit of infrastructure was shot and needed upgrading. So we've been investing steadily into the future. The hydro system is in actually pretty good shape now. It's in really good shape actually. So it's steady. The next is the water system. That's needing some major investment. I'll get into that in a bit here. 2020 highlights. The new Cedar Valley Holding shingle and post and rail mill is running basically at full production and shows great promise. The employment rose from 4 to 10 to 15 steady employees, and just a steady stream of activity there. So it's working. We have a fiber agreement with them. And for the first time in their history, they've had a solid supply of fiber. So there's definitely been a few bumps in the road. I think this year we're going to get those figured out. It was a new deal, and we're all learning, right, what needs to happen, and I think we're on the right track, and I think they're happy, and I think we're happy, and we're moving forward. So as of June 2021, there are 14 leaseholders on the VIP industrial lands. Trans Mountain, Dunkley, Cedar Valley Holdings Limited, Remcan, some Trans Mountain Fallers rent a small area of a building just for storage and drying of their equipment. Robson Design is new. That's Andreas Torney, and they do all kinds of stuff. BC Stone, they're just really getting going now. Looks good what they're doing. Treasures of the Forest, they basically are following Cedar Valley in there, and they use the wood that Cedar Valley doesn't use. So it's what we're hoping would happen, is kind of industry creates industry. TELUS is there. They're going to build a cell tower in the fall. It's ordered. All the documents are signed. They're not quite there yet, I guess, but they'll be here soon, we hope. Sim First Nation is leasing 8 acres and the scales. So they're running the kind of the waste wood yard. Robson Valley Gourmet Mushrooms, they've been doing okay. They're doing all right, steadily improving. The veggie container, that's new from the learning center. So that's up and running, and there's vegetables growing in it. So which is pretty cool actually. So we have, we're actually, I think we're all looking forward to watching it progress. The VCF LP, so the VCF, because it's two companies now, the VCF leases Scales, the office, the Scale yard, and the maintenance yard. So we have a lease agreement with the VIP as well. And newly, we just signed a deal to supply West Fraser with some wood, and they're going to lease, I'm not sure, we haven't figured that out yet, but at least 3 acres in the yard and run it as a reload. So it's busy. Pretty much all the big chunks of area in the yard are taken up. All that's left are the kind of the troublesome spots or the small areas, or that we're working on to figure out. So in partnership with Trans Mountain, we have fiber optics in the yard, and we'll be hooked up to the VC office in the fall of 2021. So the deal we have is that when TELUS puts their tower in, they need fiber optics for that tower, and we already have the poles. We've already put them up, and the office is ready. So they'll run the line to the office and then to their tower. So that's already set up, and that, with any luck at all, that should happen in the fall. Then we'll get really nice internet. We're working with Trans Mountain to reestablish the yard's firefighting reservoir. This reservoir will act as a hub for the fire protection for the yard. So they're on their own time, so we're waiting patiently, but I think it will go. The VCF utilizes the yard and Scales this year as a reload yard and specialty wood decking area. We find it very useful to have cleanup loads brought into the yard that we can sort and sell to whomever, local markets or specialty markets, and it's we've done it for a couple of years, I guess, here, and it's actually working really well, and it's enough wood to keep everybody relatively satisfied, it seems. We'll improve on that as we get deeper into our mill and we have more capacity to do things at a cheaper cost. So we've been aggressively fighting knapweed, which is an invasive species that really dominated the whole industrial lands when we purchased the site. We've been working on it for, I don't even know, maybe 3 years. Janie's been heading that. Janie Weeks has been heading that. And we're very proud of that the weed is under control and that the grasses and other plant species are now flourishing. So we have an annual plan to monitor it and take action when needed. We're seeing it. There's bits and pieces where it's coming up, and I guess the seed stays in the ground for many years. So we'll have it'll be continuous work to keep it under control. But it's a good project, and I think we're winning. So we're continuing to research ways to deal with our waste fiber in the area. This issue has been holding us back from setting up more manufacturing in the yard. And currently it's a major cost to haul to large centers. So this is one of the reasons why there hasn't been any real mill development in Belmont for a bunch of years. And why Howard Brothers, one of the reasons anyway, why Howard Brothers had to go down. Because it just, you can't afford, it won't even pay the trucking to ship waste fiber from Belmont to either Prince George or to Kamloops. It just doesn't pay. So anything you do before that is just a dead cost. So no one could ever do it. So that was one of our priorities. So we needed the mill. We needed a mill in Belmont to be in operation to create the waste, to actually try to track a fiber industry. This is why we went to the VIP mill. So, and then we'll have we'll have wood waste from our yard, from our VIP mill, as well as from the Cedar Valley Holdings mill. So we'll have a pretty substantial amount of waste. So then we can actually talk to people about potentially setting up in our yard. So, but we had to get that, because it's just, when we talked to a bunch of people about it, and it's not economical to set up something in Belmont without it, because you'd have to rely on just logs. And it just doesn't work. It's not. Every pellet plant, every cogen is sitting right next to a super mill. And there's a reason for that. So we're working on that. So what we thought is the VIP mill would definitely help. So the VIP mill is probably 95% complete. What we're held back on now is getting hooked up to the BC hydro grid. So we have a permit with BC Hydro, and they have committed to hooking us up by July 4th at the latest. So at that point, we'll start testing it and really see what happens. The mill's been in work and under construction since pretty much a year, from May. Sometime in May we started, 2020. And it took us about a year, and we're just about there. So the mill production will start slowly as we test equipment. When running at full capacity, we expect roughly 10 people to start at full capacity, and then we go from there, right? We can ramp up, or we can do different things from there, right? But we basically got to get it going, and then see what happens. The mill is at this point is a cant and timber mill that produces chips from the wood waste. So, yeah, we've been working hard for over a year of construction, and probably a year of research before that. So it's everybody's excited, everybody's impatient, and we just want it to start right now, but we have to wait a little bit more, I guess. For staff, so the VIP LP is managed by the VCF board of directors and staff. So it doesn't have a manager yet, or a board of directors. And that may change someday, but right now that's how we're operating. The VIP has 2 direct staff members that are full-time employment. And they've been working to help construct the mill, which is going to be a major benefit when the mill actually starts, because they'll understand it. And the 2 are Samantha Piper and Darren Battensby, both with mill experience, and yeah, been really good finds for us. Really happy with that. In closing, we last but not least, we've hired Claudia Frost. She's been contracted as a contractor to complete the financials for the company. So she's taken over from Betty the VIP finances. It was just, we were getting big enough that we decided Betty could continue with the VCF, and we get Claudia with the VIP. And so far we've been running a month or so, and it's been working great so far. So all good. That's what I have. Is there any questions? More questions about mill, or?
Councillor Pearson?
Yeah, just a quick question, Craig. You referred to it earlier too, what was going to be involved in upgrading the water system. I'm just wondering if you had a little more detail on what was required for the water system upgrade out there.
Well, there's the reservoir behind the office, and it has 330,000 gallons. The liner is just old and rotten. It's full of holes. So we have to replace the liner, and then we can fill it with our, we have a well system down by the tracks behind the office, and that there's a line that comes up to the reservoir. So we can fill it with that, and it'll just trickle, because it's a smaller well, or a smaller pump, I guess, in the well. I think we can actually make it bigger, but it's right now it'll work. It'll just trickle. It'll take a while to fill it, but it'll do the job. From the reservoir, there's actually a pipe that goes under the ground, that goes underneath the main access road from the office to the cedar mill, and it comes up to the old slow can pump house area. So that's still existing. So we've cleaned out that pump house. It's still kind of in rough shape, but we've cleaned it out. And at some point, we haven't done it yet because we need the reservoir and we're spending lots of money on the mill. So we didn't need it yet. But when the reservoir is up, we can put a pump or maybe 2 pumps as a backup into that, into the old pump house, the old slow can pump house. And then we can use that to act as a hub for the rest of the yard. So that's the firefighting part of it. We already have a line that goes from the office to the cedar mill and to the scales, but the line's small and it's not enough for fire water. You need a real big volume, but it's fine for what the cedar mill needs, and it's fine for the scales. So that's that part of it. We actually did some research, and we think we have some water out by the mill, and the mill needs water as well. And we're trying to figure out how to get water all the way over there. So we witched it. We got Bob Weeks out there, he was a bit of a genius in his own way, and we found water in 2 spots there. And traditionally, I believe, I got to do some more research, but it doesn't sound like the Cedar side water is that deep. So at some point we might bring a hoe in and try to figure out if we have water there, because it would definitely help if we could keep the mill on its own water source, and then the rest of the yard would be on the old traditional source. Okay. So we're still, it's still a work in progress. But we have some ideas, and we're definitely, we need to start doing something this year, because we're so busy now. We need firefighting protection, and what we have now is Jason's got his own tank on the truck, and we have 2, I'm not even sure how big they are, 5, I think they're bigger than 500-gallon tanks. They're on wheels and they have pumps, and we can grab them with our loaders and pull them to where we need them. So we do have some firefighting protection, and we're also in the Belmont local fire protection area. So yeah, to make a long story short, we're working on it. We have some ideas and we have some infrastructure there, and we need to get on it.
Okay, thanks.
And we will this year.
Did you have a follow-up, Councillor?
No, I'm good with that.
Councillor Blanchette?
So kudos on the mill. Sounds like you're just about there. I'm just wondering if BC Hydro hooks you guys up for July 4th. Are you going to be hiring over the summer, or is it going to be more of a fall hiring?
Well, we have our 2 employees, and we have some millwrights over there still, and some electricians.
Okay.
So I think we're gonna play it real baby steps. We're gonna see how everything works. We're gonna, start turning stuff on, playing with it, see what happens. And yeah, definitely at some point, I certainly hope by the fall we'll be hiring people and yeah, starting to produce, because we need to hit this market, which is beautiful right now.
Yeah.
And we need and want to get the ball rolling here. So
Okay.
I'm trying to go baby steps. I'm trying not to be overly optimistic. When it's ready to turn on full steam, we're going to do that.
Perfect. Okay. Thank you.
Do you have a follow-up? Okay. Just a comment, Craig. It may seem right now that, Trans Mountain could be viewed as just a temporary increase on your financials. Last year, this year, the pace that they're moving, maybe many more. But it's the land development that they've completed on the industrial park that will have that legacy and a benefit for generations. So really kudos to you and the board for realizing that potential and for negotiating with them. I did see the ad for the mill manager in the paper, and I'm actually not shocked you haven't found anybody. I mean, it's a position that's so vast and yet so specific of a skill set that, I mean, you're looking for a Larry Simpson of the world. So yeah, just awesome that 14 tenants in such a short time, a lot of infrastructure upgrades, so right on.
Thanks, Owen. Yeah, it's coming. We're happy with the progress, but we're starting to fall behind, but we're happy. It's a good problem. Good problems to have, right?
Okay, thank you, Craig. Is there any more questions?
None from us, Gordon.
Okay, I would just like to thank Craig from the board for all his work in planning and the multitude of details involved in day-to-day and season-to-season operation. We're very lucky to have such a skilled and competent manager in our employ. Thank you, Craig. So from the board, we would like the same thing with the VIP as with the Belmont Community Forest, basically to get our working group going and increase our cooperation. In the past, when there's been a larger mill operating in this area, it's always been owned by somebody from far away. And a lot of the decisions have been made without reference to local conditions and local needs. So personally, I'm really glad to see the community forest able to take charge of management along with the village being the owner, so that decisions can be made here so they're suitable to the conditions.
Couldn't agree
Okay,
more.
Owen, would you like to speak to the Valemount Industrial Park?
Yeah, thanks, Gordon. And I couldn't agree more with the having that local ownership versus that, what was typical to be owned by distanced companies. We're it's taken some time, but we are now realizing the vision that was conceptualized in 2014 by the board of the day. Seeing increased tenants and economic opportunities on industrial lands outside of the village, where they really need to be. And kudos to staff and to the board. Those 240 acres were purchased in pretty much a disarray conditions from an infrastructure standpoint, invasive species. Cedar Side was just riddled with knapweed no more than 10 years ago, and the steps taken by Janie and her team, just hats off to that. To the point where even my dad's place is, we can actually keep up to it now. So well done, Janie, and well done, Craig, and our thanks to the board.
Okay, thank you, Owen. Is there any more questions from council or from anyone else?
Nothing from council, Gordon.
Okay, so could I have a motion to adjourn the meeting then? Vern. Okay, thank you all for attending, and hopefully we'll repeat this semi-annually.
Looking forward to it, Gordon. Thank you for presenting both companies this evening, and have a great week.
Okay, thank you, Owen.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. Appreciate your time.